Like if I don't know, like if like 5% of people were dying or 10%, like I don't know what number it is, but like it doesn't seem. It seems like it's not dangerous
Well, wait a minute. Why do you
enough to
wait?
be.
Well,
Does
but
that make sense? Like I.
wait, well, sure, sure. No, I understand what you're trying to say. So I just want to point out one thing. Like, here's one thing I want to point out in this analysis. It seems like when you're looking at the benefits of vaccines, you seem to be just going straight to death. But when you're looking at the risks of vaccines, you seem to be including a lot of things. Like you're pointing out myocarditis. You're talking about all the the risks of injection into veins. You're talking about so. What I would encourage you to do is not just limit the benefits of vaccines to a death metric. I would include morbidity metrics as well. Or what you can do is you can just, if you only care about death for whatever reason, and you don't care about suffering, then only consider death for the risks as well. So, but what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to only look at death for the benefits of vaccination and look at death and all the other risks under the sun for vaccination when looking at the risk benefit
or forgetting it when being unvaccinated. Yeah, I get what you're saying. So like I know that there's other like risk factors for like or other complications that you can have getting it. I know there's been like athletes who have got it and they say like, oh well, they have like, what are they, there's like a name they started calling it, like long COVID or whatever they called it. Like basically,
yeah, long
you like always have like shortness of breath and whatever. Like you're basically not this. I know it was happening in athletes a lot. We're like talking about it publicly and saying that like they didn't feel the same after, and they didn't have the same like capacity and endurance after and stuff like that. But I mean, aren't these cases, aren't these kind of things also happening with other, like with the flu and other viruses that we don't mandate vaccines for too? It's just not to the same.
This is true. Something that I want to back up.
Percentage.
Something to back up real quick to keep in mind, and nobody does this, and unfortunately we can't run reality 2 or 3 or 4 times to see how things look out. Something that a lot of people don't seem to understand is that with our current preventative measures, I think we've almost like completely eliminated the flu season this year in the United States, or last year. Like the reduction in flu cases was astronomical. I think it was over 95%, if I'm correct. If that is the case, and we still saw hundreds of thousands of people die of the coronavirus, like the idea of just going back to normal and forgetting it, like this seems to be such an unbelievably infectious thing, but we just don't know how much it is because our norm is like, this is how many people it infects when all of society is locked down, we're all wearing masks, we're all social distancing, and travel is like banned for half the year. So like, I think that the potential for it to be much worse, like even without a mutation or whatever, it still exists. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're gonna have to do so it's going to be a complicated risk-benefit analysis. But the point here is that I think that at the end of the day, that there are so many cases of this this causing so much suffering, not just death, of this virus causing so much suffering. It's causing not just it's not just limited to like a medical thing. It's because it's around and causing so much suffering. It's causing economic devastation. It's causing like policies to change. It's causing people to have to go through all sorts of extra regulations and and hoops to jump through. It's just impacting the world. It's changed the world. And if you can get rid of a lot of that, if you can mitigate it, and you have just a bunch of people who are just being dumb fucks and they're just being like, well, no, I'm not going to get the vaccine because I believe what Joe Rogan said or something like that, or Brett Weinstein or whatnot, or Malone. At some point, if they're really causing people to get the infection and they're really causing them to suffer, then as part of society, I don't see I personally don't see it being unreasonable to say, you know what, fuck you guys, you're getting the vaccine if you want to be part of our society, or else you're just not going to be able to participate in these societal functions. Have fun. But that's going to depend on your norms.
Yeah, that's what I just have issue with that. I guess that's where my more like libertarian side comes out. I just feel like people should have a choice in it. Like,
well, let me ask you.
I get that it's a risk to everyone, but
it's not just a risk. It's a risk that's easily mitigatable with very little risk in the mitigation strategy. Like, it's a risk that's very easily decreased with very little risk to that strategy of mitigation. Let me just ask you this. Let's say like, you know, let's just say smallpox. We lived in an era where smallpox only infected the elderly, right? Would you support like making the smallpox, you know, like or like polio, like if polio only affected the elderly, or all these vaccinations that we mandate for children? Would you support? And let's just say that, you know, children could spread it, and we were living in a world where those viruses existed and were prevalent. Would you now say that since children aren't infected with them, although they can transmit it, but since they're not infected with them, there's very low risk to the child, we should like lift all of those mandates for MMR, for polio? Would you say that we shouldn't be mandating those vaccines anymore for children?
I don't know. It would be. I don't think so. I think those are. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like those are much more severe.
So then, what's
like,
the difference?
In that, I guess.
Well, no. Actually, I don't know.
They do
well,
to the
wait a
person.
minute. Well, they have. Well, okay. So yes.
I don't know
no.
enough about them to really like.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me just ask you this. Let's just say. Let's just say that. Well, okay. So really quick, the chance of dying if you get infected with COVID is lower than some of those other pathogens I mentioned. However, because they spread so much more, the total amount of deaths are actually fairly large. And
Okay.
worldwide, yeah. So if worldwide, including the United States, I believe, if you compared like the yearly deaths of COVID to something like when smallpox was a thing, the yearly deaths are not that far off. And it's not because COVID is more deadly per disease. It's just spreading so much more that even if there's a small chance of death, it's spreading, getting so many more cases that.
Sorry.
It's getting more cases that result in these deaths. So let me just ask you that: if smallpox was here today, and if smallpox, just the infectiousness of smallpox increased dramatically, and the infection fatality rate, the chance of dying if you are infected, matched COVID, and children can spread it to adults, and children could not be killed with the smallpox. However, there may be some unknown long-term side effects that we have reason to believe may be the case in children. Would you then support lifting the mandates to go to school for vaccination for children for smallpox or polio or something?
I don't know, man. I don't think so.
Okay, but now you have an issue. Right?
Yeah, I know.
So if you're going to be agnostic on that, right? There's an inconsistency here. If you're going to be agnostic on that, but against the COVID mandate, then there's got to be some sort of difference, presumably, other than just the name of the vaccine or just the virus implicator. There's got to be some sort of difference.
I mean, I've already had that impressed in my head that
Yeah.
like what smallpox is too. So like.
Yeah. So there's gonna. Okay, but the thing is, like, I've already equalized those disanalogies, and you're now saying that you're not sure, if you're hesitant. I can see I can hear the hesitancy in your voice of lifting those mandates. But when it comes to the same infection fatality ratio and the same risk for children, the same risk for adults, I just changed the name. All of a sudden, like, you're against. You're like, no, I'm not okay with this mandate. But why?
Oh man, that's I don't know. I would have to do some internal digging, I guess. I don't. It just seems you provided me with a lot of information to think about. Okay, I gotta be honest. But I need to do some more digging into this. I thought I had a fair amount, enough to make a decision like that, or to think about it in that way. I mean, I got like myself vaccinated and stuff, but. Yeah, I've been pretty strongly like, yeah, I think people should have a choice or a decision to like get vaccinated or not get vaccinated.
Nacho, can I ask you?
Just not when it comes to all the other vaccines.
No, not I don't know, man.
We're going to the same problem now. Like,
Yeah, I know. I know that we already have like, and we already mandate a lot of vaccines, and I know that it's part of. I know that it's in. What is it, like the 10th Amendment or some shit, or like, I know that it's.
There was a Supreme Court
that it's part. There's like precedent already for this. So.
There's a precedent in Supreme Court case for mandating vaccine. But okay, but the point, regardless, that's not the main. The point is that it's not that you just have this belief that everyone should have the choice, because you don't have that belief.
Yeah, not
for these
entirely.
other vaccines.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you're very hesitant to say, oh, you should just have the rights. Like, no, you don't want to let those.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know where this. I don't know what exactly maybe all the qualifiers are, because. And maybe that's why I focus more on like the death rate, because that's an easier one to.
I already dialed that in.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I'm thinking about this on the fly, so I'm trying to walk you through my.
No, it's fine. Listen, if you want to take some time to, So here's the ultimate issue. The issue is I see an inconsistency in your position. The inconsistency is you seem to. Be hesitant to have a choice in vaccination for a given set of vaccines. You don't